All right. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, December 11th, 2020. Already in the last month of December. Time flies, right? So, yeah, hope everyone is having a good week thus far, and may it be the start to a equally wonderful weekend. So, yeah, what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a bit of memory lane, a trip down memory lane. I'm going to play a couple retro games. So, as always, I'm your host, Aldo. Thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate it. Hope everyone is doing well with their holiday shopping if they go through that, or just enjoying maybe a much needed reboot towards the new year. So, yeah, we're going to start off with I was thinking a bit of a seminal arcade game, one that I played when I was young, way back when, days in black and white. So we're going to start off with Final Fight, which is one of Capcom's seminal arcade entries. So let me go ahead and boot it up and just make sure that it shows up. All right, get that booted up and we'll see. But yeah, Final Fight is a game that was it was a big splash when it first came out, and it did leave a bit of a legacy, especially in the arcade scene and the, I guess you would call the beat 'em up scene. So, beat 'em ups, for those who may not be aware, are essentially what they're called. It's a game where you fight people with with your fists, with your legs. You're essentially traditionally going from left to right, fighting waves of enemies, goons, and bad guys that come after you, and you just beat them up, hence the name, and you clear a screen, move on to the next. Traditionally, you'll maybe fight a boss or something along those lines. So, this specific Capcom beat 'em up bundle was released. You know what? Actually, let me look it up for you. I don't know when it was. I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. So let me look up here. Capcom beat 'em up bundle was released in September of 2018, and it is available on the Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. So it has a pretty good selection of a bunch of games from that era. I am playing on the PC version. So the cool thing about this particular collection is obviously traditionally in the arcades you would pop in 25 to 50 cents. That would be your credit. If somebody decided to walk into the machine next to you, so it would have a side-by-side controller, or joystick in this case, they would also pop in 25 to 50 cents and they would play cooperatively with you. So the whole crux here is that the cool thing is there's an offline mode if you want to play it solo, or if you want to play with a friend who is in the same vicinity with you. So like, let's say on the Switch, if you had 2 Joy-Cons or 2 Pro Controllers, you could do that. There's also an online mode where you can actually play cooperatively with people online. So that's something obviously that was not around in those days. So yeah, this particular bundle has a bunch of different games. Final Fight, which I guess would be the big game here. King of Dragons. It's another side-scrolling game with a couple of bit of fantasy elements. Captain Commando, with a character, Captain Commando, who, if you follow fighting games at all, you may recognize Captain Commando from Marvel vs. Capcom. But this was his debut game. So, a little bit of history. Captain Commando, if you take the first syllables from both names, Capcom, it spells out the name of the company. Knights of the Round, another side-scrolling beat 'em up with fantasy and magic elements. Very fun game. Warriors of Fate, another side-scrolling beat-em-up. These are all side-scrolling beat-em-ups of different genres. Armored Warriors, which is a side-scrolling beat-em-up with giant robots. So, cool fact about this one. One of the characters, Jin, actually reappeared in Marvel vs. Capcom as well. So, Armored Warriors wasn't really a well-known game. It wasn't mainstream by any means, so it was really cool for people who maybe had played this. I believe it was released on... Actually, you know what? This particular one was not released on home consoles, I don't believe. But this had Jin and his mech, which was called Blodia. Very cool. Battle Circuit. I believe this is a fighting game with robots. But for the instance of this, we're going to be playing Final Fight. Cool thing is you can adjust the difficulty. If you want to make it easy, you know, you could scale it depending on the stars that you have. So, you know what, we'll keep it at the default. The cool thing is you do have infinite credits, so there is no worry for having anything, you know, running out of credits or anything like that. So yeah, I first saw this game when they first, I think I saw it at a deli, because this game was released in 1989. I remember seeing it maybe 1990, and there was a local beach, actually here in Norwalk, Connecticut, Calf Pasture Beach. They used to have an arcade. So where the mini golf section is, if you go, there was like a giant boat hangar, a big white building. I honestly don't know if it's still there, but I actually would, while my parents would go to the beach and, you know, soak up the sun, I was like, oh, well, give me a couple quarters and I'll play at the arcade. So it was this big hangar that had, I would like to say maybe 20 to 30 machines, pinball machines, skee ball, and arcade cabinets. And it's the first time I saw this particular game, Final Fight. And, you know, the thing about, you have to understand about arcade games back then, you know, no one, there was no internet. So it really wasn't a matter of, you didn't know what these games were beforehand. So it was really just a matter of using what's happening right now. You'll notice that it's going through profiles and giving little clips of the game. This is what would be called an attract screen. So back in the arcade days, you say you'd walk into an arcade, there'd be 10, 15, whatever, how many machines there'd be. The point of the attract screen was to have something playing as ambience, but also to give a taste of what the gameplay or what the mode was about, or the environment, the ambience that it was trying to show off. And it would be to attract you, the potential customer, to go to that machine, pop in a few quarters and play. So this kind of thing doesn't exist anymore with games. But it's really kind of a lost art with games these days. But it's really cool to see happen. So, hey Bones, what's up, my man? One of your favorite games? Yeah. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm going to play through Final Fight. You know what? Let's try to beat the game. So actually, you know what? Now that you're here, I'm going to go with Mike Hagar, but just out of curiosity, Bones, thank you for stopping by again. Who is your favorite? Who is your go-to character? Have all of them? Alright, so the thing about Final Fight, it's a simple game. There's only two buttons. There's jump and there's attack. Now, there are differences and subtleties you can do with each thing. You can grab characters, and in the case of Mike Hagar, you can do pile drivers. You do your standard punch combos. If you get close to an enemy, you can grab them. You can also do drop kicks, suplexes, Again, file driver is what you want to do, because Mike Hagar is the only character in the game that can inflict damage by throws. He can actually even throw bosses too, which is entirely unique to him. Now, sometimes enemies can hit you. Now, what you can do is if you hit both buttons at the same time, you'll do a kind of like an area of attack move. Sega CD version is the hardest. Yes, Sega CD version is very cool. So to give some context, again, usually this is a bit of a younger crowd. So Sega CD was a system that came out after the Sega Genesis. It was kind of an incremental upgrade to the Genesis. Because, you know, back then using CDs was unheard of. Everything was on cartridges. So Sega CD, what that offered was the benefit of enhanced sound, visuals. All right, see how sometimes these enemies can swarm you and beat you up. So, again, you could pick up weapons and throw them at enemies. Now, I was going to say, Sega CD, one of the advantages was with Sega CD, for example, in this case, in this game, there were only 2 ports for the game at the time. Super Nintendo and Sega CD. So the difference between Super Nintendo was a very neutered port. It didn't have a lot of stuff going for it. It was pretty limited in what it could do. It was limited to only 1 player. Sega CD had arcade accurate music. Well, actually, it was actually a bit remixed. It used something called Red Book Audio, which was really advanced for the time. He's going to keep bringing out people to come beat me up, but that's alright. Again, infinite lives, don't have to worry about getting game over or anything like that. Power driver is what you want to do. But yes, like I was saying, Sega CD was a big advantage in that case because it did produce more accurate colors of the arcade. Overall, it was the most similar, but as Bones said, it was rather difficult. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Well, let me catch up here with the chat. Guy then Cody, nice. Hey Cassandra, how are you doing? I'm at work and snuck on real quick to say hi. I'll try to pop back in later after work. Oh, thank you so much, Cassandra. Nonetheless, I appreciate you coming on in. I like Hagar, but his slowness is annoying, but the strength he has is great on bosses. Yes, so that's one of the... So I'm a big Streets of Rage player, and one of the things I've... again, Streets of Rage, another beat 'em up. So like in the character Streets of Rage 2, Max is very much like Hagar. He's slow, but when I say slow, I say quotation marks, because for more advanced players, there is a trick with Max to actually make him cover more ground than any of the other characters in a quicker manner. So he actually technically is the fastest character, but you have to use a very specific technique to get that to work. Don't forget the spin attack when you're surrounded. Yes, I was just in the middle of talking and it was hard to to say. Final Fight 3 does not work on your Retron 5. Okay, so to give some context for some of these terms, again, this channel is usually maybe for new coming gamers or anything like that. So Retron is a system made by, I believe it's Hyperkin, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. So it is kind of like an all-in-one device. It allows for you to hook up, like for example, a Retron will have slots for the Genesis, it'll have slots for Super Nintendo, NES. So it's kind of like an all-in-one solution. So fun fact, this Andore character, if you look at him, he is very similar to wrestler Andre the Giant. And that was not, that was done on purpose. Look at his name, Andore. If you just take out the or, it's, you know, Andre. So he was meant to mimic Andre the Giant. And actually, a little Easter egg, if you play Street Fighter 3, there is a character, for whatever reason, they changed his name to Hugo, probably because of the whole, you know, it kind of is Andre the Giant, maybe to avoid any type of copyright lawsuits. So there is a little bit of an Easter egg with two characters in those games. There's one called Alex, who's a blonde. He was kind of the main character of Street Fighter 3. And if he fights Hugo, before their match, they do a little homage to Hogan and Andre the Giant from WrestleMania 3. So, pretty cool little Easter eggs. You know, games have always been things that are riddled with secrets. Alright, he's gonna pile drive me. Good thing about the pile drive is you can get splash damage when you throw enemies on it. Now, again, with Final Fight, it is you know, an important game because it did set the you know, the benchmark for these types of games. But on the whole, I will say Streets of Rage is definitely a much more balanced game, and there's a lot more options with what you can do with enemies. Final Fight is rigid. It's very rigid. It's restrictive in what it does. Unless you really get into the mechanics, outside of exploiting enemy attacks, there's not a lot you can do. You can see, like, the enemies are pretty unforgiving here. This is what you would call a quarter muncher back in the day. Quarter muncher being a very difficult game by design that was intended for you to keep putting in your quarters to beat it. And before you know it, you've wasted, I don't know, $2, $3. You know, again, you have to keep in mind, these are 25 cents a game. So 25 cents in this case would give you 2 lives. So you do the math, you know. You go through the game and you waste how much money at the end of the day. These enemies keep throwing knives at you. Alright, if I get lucky with these... Gotta watch out for this guy, though, because he throws knives. But again, the melee weapons don't do a lot of damage. If you compare it to, say, something like Streets of Rage, melee weapons are much more efficient in what they do. Star Wars Nerd, hey, how are you doing today? Hope you're having a good Friday thus far. But yes, Bones, going back to Final Fight 3 does not work on your Retron 5. Yeah, I do realize that there are some games that are not compatible, so that's a shame. One thing I don't like, you know, in retrospect about Final Fight, the combo system is very rudimentary. It's hard to get people in combos, unlike, say, a Streets of Rage, where it is very much kind of like a finesse. There's a finesse to it that just is not in this game. Like, getting combos like that is difficult to pull off. And enemies have a lot of cheap attacks that can get past you. But it's one of those things, you know, you kind of, as you play the game, you get acclimated to the quirks. All right, so here's another boss, Sodom, who is very hard. He actually appeared later on in Street Fighter Alpha as one of the playable characters. He does this little tackle, yep. You kind of don't want him to pick up his swords, because it can be tough. Again, he has more reach than you. You can break out of your holds. There you go. Alright. He can be very tough, though, but he does reappear in the Street Fighter Alpha series, which is pretty fun. I'm doing alright, Star Wars nerd. Thank you so much. Alright, so you get a bonus stage, much like Street Fighter, where you just need to break pieces of a car. And you want to jump over to the other side. And then break this side further. There we go. 8 seconds left. Not too bad. I'm doing alright, Star Wars nerd. I really am. I hope you're having a good week as well. Have you played Final Fight by chance? Again, this is 1989 when this came out.
Oh my god.
I broke his car. Oh well. Again, these games were all about having these little Easter eggs and these little moments that were funny. I just like, why did they throw in that that voice line there, right? They tried to add more to the rest of the series, but it's not much different, and they seem a lot easier. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, again, you have to keep in mind, Final Fight, it was arcade. The first one arcade only, and then the sequels were all consoles. So they didn't have to make it as mind-numbingly hard because they didn't have to worry about people, you know, putting quarters in, so to speak. But I always felt that Streets of Rage was a series that improved the formula, much as any subsequent game in a franchise should, right? Or in a genre. Alright, there we go. Boom. Streets of Rage pretty much perfected the formula, I feel. It took everything that Final Fight established and made it better. In just about every way. If you're talking about music, if you're talking about combos, grab mechanics, crowd control, because crowd control doesn't really exist in Final Fight the way it should. You kind of are left to the devices of enemies, more often than not. And you see how little damage the melee weapon does? It kind of becomes pointless. You don't want to even use it, because it doesn't do as much damage as you would think. Right, Muramasa, so I got the Muramasa ability, but again, not going to do as much damage as any good combo would. And there's going to be a big fight, and... But yeah, these weapons don't do a lot of damage. Like, you look, it's a set amount. In Streets of Rage, a melee weapon would do a lot more. So, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose of doing a melee attack, or doing a melee weapon, where your combo would do a lot more damage in a lot less time. And to my knowledge, I don't think you can throw weapons in this game. Unlike Streets of Rage, you can throw weapons. So, you know, it's a lot of things you have to gauge in this game, and they're not really... You're not able to control it as much as, say, Streets of Rage. Again, I'm not trying to harp on it, because, again, this was first. But the whole... I think the whole thing with any genre, any subsequent game should essentially try to improve the formula that was built before it. And I feel that's what Streets of Rage did. It took everything that Final Fight did, and Final Fight took everything that maybe earlier games like Double Dragon did, improved upon them incrementally. But Streets of Rage, I feel, perfected, especially Streets of Rage 2, perfected the formula to a point where no other beat-em-up has ever compared or been better, because it was just so good. Never played it? Oh, okay. So yeah, this so just so you know, Star Wars, this I'm playing. I'm gonna update the description of this. I should have done that beforehand. This is called Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle. So this is on Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and on Steam, which I'm playing it on now. So this is a big bundle that comes with about 6 or 7 arcade beat 'em up games, all in one collection. So I don't know how much it retails for nowadays, because I think it's a digital-only release. I don't think there was a physical disc for it. But I would say it's about $20 to $30, depending on where you find it. And if you grew up on these arcade games, it's well worth it, because the really cool thing is you could do online play if you wanted to. So that's a big plus to that. Yeah, no problem, Bones. I appreciate you coming in nonetheless, man. Thank you so much. Alright, so now G Andore, F Andore. So again, these guys, because they're bosses, they have a lot of invincibility frames. Now technically, let's see, they're eventually going to break out what I can do to them. Alright. There we go. Sometimes you just gotta fight fire with fire. And then here comes Easy-E, I believe is the cop that I'll fight. Now you may notice the female in this game, she's known in the Street Fighter circuits as Poison. So this was her first appearance. Now you want to try to power bomb people, or pile drive, but it becomes difficult because enemies can hurt you while you're doing it. Which can be a bit of a pain. Now you want to grab items to replenish your health. There we go. Again, enemies one-on-one are not a big deal. It's just when you start getting crowds, that's the problem. P. Now you may notice some of these stages become backgrounds in the Street Fighter Alpha games. Pile drive is your best friend. Problem is, enemies can hurt you with just one hit. This boss, Eddie E, appears in other games. Street Fighter Alpha 3, actually. There we go, that's one combo. See, I believe this is a stage in Street Fighter Alpha 1. So when you beat a stage, it gives you the overall layout of the levels. So right now, we're about halfway through. One of the things you gotta watch out here for are the fire. If you do hit them, they will engulf you in flames, and it does hurt, but it happens to the enemies as well, so you kind of want to get them too. So like, they'll get hit by the flames just as much as you. So you're gonna have to keep moving. And just keep ducking in and out. Just be conscious of where the fires are. Let them keep getting hurt by the fire. Oh, alright, well, it was bound to happen. Again, let them keep getting hurt. Alright, there we go. So now we're going to go into elevator. I want to try to single the enemies out one at a time. That makes it a little easier. There you go, that's a combo. But that's just very hard to do when there's a crowd of bad guys. I'm playing this on PC, so this is the Steam version of the collection. Alright, Bill Bull. I want to watch out for these headbutts, but sometimes they're just... And unfortunately with this game, unless you are reviving, you have invincibility frames when you get up, but other than that, you don't really. So you gotta... Unfortunately, the game can be very cheap with enemies that knock you down constantly. It's an unavoidable trap. And he can grab you, take your life. When you hit jump and punch at the same time, you do like kind of a get out of jail card attack, but it does take away a little bit of your life, so you need to be careful about that. Again, enemies can be very cheap against you. And enemies do have priority over your attack. So, again, unlike Streets of Rage, it can get very cheap, but it is like that by design, or it could be that because it was so early on in the, lifespan of beat-em-ups that a lot of these things maybe weren't taken into consideration. Right, now is the next boss, Relento. Very difficult as well, because he's always hopping around, and it's hard to grab a hold of him. More so when you're Hagar. Gotta watch out for those grenades. Only the knife can be thrown, yes. Which again, I keep going back to Streets of Rage, but Streets of Rage took a lot of these blueprints and improved upon them. So in Streets of Rage, every weapon can be thrown. There's a specific way to do it, but there is a way to get it done with all of the weapons. Alright, so Relento's very, very cheap. And again, it's hard to deal with crowd control in this game. Because every enemy has priority over you. He's going to throw a bunch of grenades. I want to try to throw these knives at him. I want to try to get a combo. See, that 3-hit combo where he's going to throw a lot of grenades now. There we go. And he just keeps throwing grenades. 1, 2, and he's done. Alright. Blows himself up. So again, Relento is another character that appears in Street Fighter. He appears in the Street Fighter Alpha. Now this stage I could never understand. You have to hit these at a certain angle so they don't spin. Because if you hit them too close, they will rotate like that. I just had one left. Oh wait, no I didn't. It was a lot more, jeez. So yeah, that special stage, I never could complete it. It was you have to hit them at a certain angle, or else they'll just keep rotating on you. Anytime enemies are hitting you, if you want to get out of it, just hit jump and punch at the same time. I always found that drop kicks are relatively useless in this game. They don't really do a lot. So again, this game was one of the first, but it's pretty unrefined in the large scope of things. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Bones. There's Final Fight, this one. There's Final Fight Guy, which was a specific Super Nintendo port that had... Because what happened with Super Nintendo was that the original release only had Cody and Hagar available, and it was only one player. So they re-released Final Fight Guy to include Guy in the game, but I think it was still a one-player game only on Super Nintendo. I could be wrong. Then there's Final Fight 2, Super Nintendo. Final Fight 3, Super Nintendo. After that, I don't think there was a proper Final Fight game all the way until the original Xbox, which was Final Fight Streetwise, which was an absolutely terrible game. I would suggest never playing it. It's really bad. Alright, single file, please. Wong Hu. Alright, one more hit and you're down. You may notice that this is the New York skyline. Don't worry that you see the Empire State Building in every fifth building, but that's alright. You know, we don't have to worry about logic in video games. It's okay. Alright, so these guys, sometimes they'll behave, other times they will be annoying. Gotta watch out with the barrels, because enemies will hit you with them. So you do need to be careful. Alright, lots of loot. And these are just for points. I want to try to stay here as far as I can. I don't want to move too much, because then I'll lose the turkey. There was also a Game Boy Advance port of this, I've never played it, called Final Fight Advance. I think they reworked the sprites, so it looks more like the alpha games, I believe. As far as whether it changed the dynamics of the gameplay, I don't know. So I would imagine this is probably supposed to be Central Park. Some kind of approximation of it. There we are. Yeah, I know it added the Street Fighter Alpha sprites for Cody and Guy, but I'm not sure what else it may have brought to the table. Now you may notice at the game over screen there's a stick of dynamite. So it's kind of like a mental thing to make you like, oh man, I got to put in another quarter because I don't want my character to blow up. A lot of games were guilty of that. If you actually played the arcade version of Ninja Gaiden, similar thing. Game over screen had the main character with like a big saw getting near his body as the countdown timer went down. So you were motivated to put in that quarter because you didn't want to see your main character, fall to a gruesome demise. So it's the way these games enticed you way back when. Like, oh, I've got to, put in a quarter. He's got to survive. It was all about psychology, a very big mental game. So same thing here. You see the stick of dynamite and the fuse gets lower and lower and lower. They're trying helplessly to blow it off, blow it away with their breath. But only you, by putting in the quarters, can keep them alive. So just letting you know, anyone watching, this is a stream every Friday for the NPL Video Game Club. Like different games, different genres every week. And yeah, this is on behalf of the Norwalk Public Library, which right now, if we are currently, due to the pandemic, we are available by appointment only. So if you're looking to go into the library, maybe get something to rent a book or borrow a book or anything like that, you do need to go to our website, norwalkpl.org, and from there you can set up an appointment if you are so inclined. But yeah, this is every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m., with the exception of holidays. Obviously, Christmas falls on a Friday, so we will not have NPL Video Game Club then. And then actually the week after, I believe, is New Year's Day, so we will not have the NPL Video Game Club either. So I will promote that more with time gets nearer to the holidays. But if you really like what you see, or if you just want to support the library in any way, just be sure to hit that thumbs up button here on the YouTube and also subscribe. That way, anytime we do get live, you get a notification, and it helps us out. Helps us out with the metrics with the social media, so I appreciate your time and appreciate you coming on by. I remember throwing tons of quarters in a Gauntlet. Gauntlet. That's a game. Actually, I'd love to play that on this, but oh man, I don't think there's an official Gauntlet release for the PC. Unless there's some kind of arcade compilation that I'm not aware of that includes it. Now you may notice this restroom. This was actually, I believe, in Street Fighter Alpha 1, I believe was a stage. There they go. But I don't need that just yet, so I'll try to be conservative with it. They are. So a 1, 2, 3 combo, if you can pull it off, is satisfying. Now, one thing that Final Fight really has good is the music. The music is quite memorable. I believe the boss here is the Road Warrior looking guy what looks like the Legion of Doom character, Animal. I forget his name, though. What he's called here. Nope. Alright, well, at least I got the enemy, so that's fine. Yeah, one player on Super Nintendo. Yeah, I mean, again, for those who were not around during the time, this was, you know, where arcades were luxury, and the home, well, actually, the home consoles were a luxury too. Not everyone had them, and if they did have them, it was either one or the other. You know, someone had Super Nintendo, other person had Sega Genesis. You know, it's very rare to find somebody with everything. It was just, you didn't see that in those days. So to you had to pick one or the other, and one of the things was Final Fight was only on Super Nintendo. So it was a huge bummer when you found out that the game was only single player. Like, what was Nintendo thinking? You know, that could have been their opportunity to really grab people from the Genesis. Hey, we're the only guys with Final Fight. Come on, buy our system so you can play it. But in that case, whatever reason, it didn't work out. There we go. Finally. So yes, Final Fight was only single player. So that was a big thing. It was like, oh, well, why did I spend, you know, $50 or whatever the price was at the time to get a single player only game? The whole idea was to play with a friend or my brother or a family member. So a lot of weird decisions. I don't know if it was a limitation of the technology, or it's possible. In most cases, it was probably the game was rushed just so we could make it for a certain deadline. But yeah, in retrospect, it wasn't the best idea. And that's the thing, you know, you compare Streets of Rage on Genesis, which was not an arcade game, but that, even from the first game, had two-player capability. So that was already a plus compared to Final Fight, on Super Nintendo at least. Alright, Jake. Goodbye, Jake. Statue of Liberty in the back there. See how the hit detection is off? Like, there are times when I'm very obviously hitting them, but they're just walking through it. So again, a lot of things that just were not refined at the time. There he is. Abigail. So he looks very much like a very famous wrestler at the time, Road Warrior Animal. And that is no small coincidence. Look at how much damage his attack does. It's quite ludicrous. He literally takes about 40% of your life with that one throw. And again, he has priority over everything you do, so you kind of just have to See, he can whiff your punches and just throw you. So it's one of those things where enemies were just cheap for the sake of being cheap. He grabbed me in the middle of a throw or a drop kick. So, like, actually hurting this guy is going to be a problem because he's just so cheap. Like, he's still on his green life, which means that he's invincible. So this is just going to take a long time because of the mechanics of the game are so annoying. And enemies have all these invincibility frames, which completely override everything you do. So it's just one thing I never liked about Final Fight, is that you don't feel in control half the time. It's very much flip a coin. If the game decides to grant you an advantage over the enemy, then so be it, but in most cases it's not happening. When NES was out, you could trade games with your friends. When Super Nintendo Genesis came out, you're right, everyone had one. Yeah, everyone had one, but it was the war. It was the 16-bit war, right? So you were either firmly planted in Team Sega or Team Nintendo, and it was brutal. I mean, it's cool in retrospect because it was just such a level of passion. Like, even in school and the playground would just be, oh, well, I got a Genesis, I got Mortal Kombat 1 with the blood code, you know, and your Super Nintendo has Sweat. Like, you know, it was always a battle between who was the best. And I mean, me personally, I'm a Sega guy, so I was Team Sega, and I was all about the Genesis. But that's not to say that the Super Nintendo didn't have anything worthwhile. It did, of course. But for me, I feel that because I grew up more the arcade era, I feel that the Genesis selection of games catered more, and I think Sega on a whole catered more towards the arcade dynamics of gameplay than maybe Super Nintendo did. So it always called out to me a little bit more than Super Nintendo. Just one moment here. Getting a little hot, so let me turn on the fan. You know, talking about games, it just gets you all into it. The only thing that works is dodging his red attack, then get... Yeah, either that or doing the spin attack. Now it's grown men fighting over Nintendo versus Xbox or PlayStation. Yeah, you're right, it is. It's kind of evolved. And unfortunately, it's kind of... I think in the 16-bit wars, I think it was more playful. You know, we weren't really going for the jugular like it is now with the PlayStation and Xbox. It's very, like, you see what happens on social media, it's pretty bad. Like, the way people behave is more than childish, I would say. So I believe this is the second to last stage. So we're making our way. Died quite a few times, but it's okay. That's what happens. Notice the sign in the back says Capcom. Again, the song is repeating from the first stage, so that usually means some big stuff is going down. Getting towards the end. Gotta watch out for the chandelier, because it will fall on you if you get too close. Luckily, I avoided it. Again, see, you get up, you can't avoid that attack. It's a cheap hit. That's one of the things with the Final Fight. It has so many cheap hits that you can't avoid. So again, because of the rigid nature of it being one of the first, a lot of considerations weren't put into place, which is understandable, you know, but it's kind of hard to go back to when you go to the control of Streets of Rage, say, or subsequent beat-em-ups, Golden Axe even, that quite simply just didn't have those limitations in effect. It is ridiculous, yeah, the wars, you know. I mean, if somebody wants to enjoy Xbox or PlayStation, then so be it. Or Switch. You know, it shouldn't be this big deal, but it is. Notice you have the Twin Towers in the back, so that's, you know, again, a figment of its time. This is 1989. Quite the, you know, it was an iconic part of the New York skyline. Like, no doubt about it. So I think as long as enemies are off screen, they can't hurt you. So this is a good, viable strategy in case you want to kind of cheese it. Now again, getting people off screen is easier said than done though, so doesn't always work. That was just a matter of the cards aligning. And you notice the Twin Towers are in the back again. So it's just repeating the skylines. Again, logic. Again, look, double cheap hits. It's can't get out of it. It's one of those things that it is frustrating because your level of control is so limited. Your only hope is to do this in the right time and hope that it'll come out. There we go. Again, when enemies swarm you, hit jump and attack at the same time. You do your little spinning lariat. Pretty much a staple of any beat 'em up. That's always like your unadvertised attack that gets you out of a jam. Golden Axe definitely one of your favorites. All three of them are great. You know, I've tried to love 3, but it just doesn't agree with me. It is cool in the fact that just like, again, for those who didn't grow up in that era. So back in the Genesis days, Sega had something which was kind of like the Netflix of video games for its time. It was called Sega Channel. And it was this box that you would buy from your cable provider, your cable TV provider. It was this black box that would hook up to your phone line. And from there you could actually get what was called the Sega Channel, which was kind of like a on-demand gaming thing where they would have demos, Japanese releases, unreleased games. And in that case, Golden Axe 3 was one of them. It was one of those games you could download off of the Sega Channel, and it was the only time it was released, in America at least. It was not released physically. So it wasn't actually widely available until, I would say officially, until maybe the Xbox 360 era, when they started doing all of those Genesis compilations that had Golden Axe 3 in it. But up until that time, the only way to officially play it was on the Sega Channel. Which by that time had already been long since dead, defunct. So, cool little piece of gaming history. But yeah, I tried to like Golden Axe 3, but it wasn't working for me. But, I mean, if it has its fans, that's great. I'm definitely partial to 1 and 2. In fact, I may just play it after this. I'm not sure. You kind of got me in the mood. Might as well stick in a beat 'em up mode, right? This Golden Axe I can play a lot more competently than this one, for sure. There you go. Oh, get that before the screen scrolls away. That's what you gotta do. You gotta time these jumps just right. And hope that they don't do their little charge. Oh, he got me. Alright, goodbye. You annoying big man. Just watch for them to drop slightly, that's your cue to get out of there. So it won't hurt you. Yeah, you know, it's funny, a lot of people don't think so. I think Golden Axe 2 is the best one, yeah. I absolutely agree with you, Bones. So actually, if you'd like, I can definitely do Golden Axe 2 right after this. If you're curious to see it. I haven't played it in a few months, so it'd be nice to come back to it. Because in that game, it's great because you can exploit the AI in a lot of ways. And again, it should be good enough to beat because it takes about half hour, 40 minutes in this game. We're already at the 5 o'clock mark, so we're almost done with this one. And the music in Golden Axe 2 is so good. It really is. And it's one of those unintentionally hilarious games because of the sound effects. You know, when you kill a bad guy, they go, blah! You know? It's just it's one of those things where, sound effects were just so good back then. Right, bread. Getting closer to the boss, this is where they start tossing everything in the kitchen sink at you. Alright. Oh, you have the Japanese import? Nice. You know, one thing about Golden Axe was the, well, this is for most games back then. The box art for these games was so good, especially the Japanese one. Even though the American box art for Golden Axe 2 was actually really good, though. Kind of had that oil painting, Conan the Barbarian, like, fantasy look to it, which was really awesome. Ah, well, tried to jump, too late. Go to the Twin Towers again. Alright. Single them out. Or try to, at least. Come here, buddy. Alright, goodbye. So I believe this building right where I'm punching, I believe that's supposed to be the, what is now known as the MetLife building. Which back then was the Pan Am building. For those who are a bit younger, Pan Am was a popular airline brand, airplane, kind of like JetBlue or Delta. Here he is, Belger. So he's in a wheelchair. I believe, in fact, I believe he's the only boss that I can remember in a game in a wheelchair that you fight. Now, whether or not he's actually disabled physically, I don't know. I don't think it's ever established. Maybe he's just that evil and that lazy that he just uses this motorized wheelchair. Oh, there he is. Yeah, you see how he jumps around. So, I mean, he could stand. Now, again, he's super cheap. Probably should have kept him in the wheelchair, to be honest, because now he's just even more annoying. Look at how many arrows he shoots. It's ridiculous. I can't even get up. He just immediately shoots. One of the things I do remember is he flies out the window, yeah. So, I mean, that's... You know, the bad guys get what they had coming to them. Evil never wins, folks. Alright, so Hagar, again, I forgot to mention that Hagar was the mayor of Metro City, and his daughter was kidnapped by the, oh my god, what are they called? I forget what they're called, the gang. Mad Angels gang or something like that? No, not Mad Angels is Shenmue. Oh, Father, I was so scared. I'm so glad to see they didn't hurt you. I'm so sorry, Jessica. I thought I'd lost you. Well, never mind. I tried. But anyways, Dad is reunited with his daughter. All is well. And now Cody and Guy are walking through all of the levels that we previously went through. Belger, yeah, he's a pain. He wasn't as bad, I will say. There have been other times where it's much more frustrating, but I got lucky. Lucky break. Oh, Cody. Oh, she's in love with Cody, but no, Guy, he's not having any of that. He's like, you dummy. He's mad that Cody got the girl. Where are you going? How can you just walk away now? I want to stay here with you, Jessica, but I can't. Not while evil still stalks the streets. Oh, Cody. Oh, isn't that romance? Man, I tell you. Paul Simon, hey, how are you doing? Thank you so much for stopping by. So yeah, this is the NPL, Norwalk Public Library Video Game Club, every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m., with the exception of holidays. My name is Aldo, and I play video games on behalf of the library just to try to kind of get a community together. People who play games, who love games, and the whole idea is I play games online, but the chat is for people to just hang out and talk about video games. So not exactly, it doesn't even have to be about the game that I'm playing. It could be anything. You know, there's a lot of news happening right now. Obviously, Cyberpunk 2077 just came out. During holiday season, we're now with the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X. So a lot of things happening in the world, in the realm of games. But yes, that was a really good ending. So that's one game completed. Awesome. So you know what? We're gonna, because you said it, Bones. We're gonna play some Golden Axe 2. I really want to play some Golden Axe 2. So, I do have a Genesis controller, but in the interest of not wasting too much time, I will keep my Xbox One controller for now. It's not the ideal way to play, but it'll do. But yeah, if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up button, and we'd very much appreciate it if you subscribe. Again, the library is not just video games, and it's not just books, obviously. We do a lot of different programs here at the library, and obviously now with the advent of the pandemic, all of our events are remote and virtual. So if you want to check out what we have available, subscribe to our channel. You'll get notified every time a video goes live, and we'd appreciate it. No ROMs here. Everything is by the book. Wouldn't it be very good if I was playing illegally downloaded ROMs on behalf of a library? So these are all legally obtained games. So to give you the Final Fight I played before, that is actually available on the Switch, PS4, Xbox One. It is called the Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle. It's a digital-only compilation. This is the Sega Genesis Classics, which is available on Switch, Xbox One, PS4. I believe on Switch it is a physical release. I don't know about Xbox and PlayStation. I believe it might be a physical release as well. Comes with about 40-ish Genesis games. So yes, no ROMs here. No. ROMs are a touchy subject. So everything here in the NPL Video Game Club is by the book and legal. So in case, actually what's really cool about this is it kind of recreates a room back in the 90s, you know? You got Super Soaker back there, you got Sonic the Hedgehog poster, all the way in the top left, Comic Zone, Streets of Rage, Revenge of Shinobi, Golden Axe. And then the games you could play are right here. So we're going to go to Golden Axe 2. And you notice that it says mods. So on the PC version, which this is on Steam, I'm playing, they actually did allow fans to upload mods. So you actually could, if you want, look up mods and if they're available and play them. So very cool. So Golden Axe 2, here we go. I love this intro too. The Lord of Darkness, Dark Gold, who should have been imprisoned in ancient times, arose again. He destroyed entire countries with his evil clan to bring this world into chaos. Once again, the three warriors have thrown themselves into a mighty battle. So yeah, I played this game back with a cousin of mine back in, I'd like to say this came out maybe 1992. I'd like to say. And I always like to do this. I forget which one. So this is what happens when an enemy dies. I always did this as a kid. I always just went to the sound effects and just spammed the sounds of people dying. That's your character, Axe Battler, when he dies. That's an enemy death. It was just always funny to me. So I always like to play as Julius Thunderhead. He's my man. I just gotta figure out what the buttons are here, though. Alright. 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 So the good thing about this game is you can manipulate enemies. And they're pretty much helpless. If you get them in a corner. I always felt that Julius has the best range with his melee. Enemies are always programmed to run after you. Yeah. Dragons are always cool. Alright, as long as you stay over here, enemies will never pass the boundaries of the wall. So this is a way to keep them at bay. Yeah. I love it, I really do. You got it much later? Okay. No, the dash is really cool. I'd say it's definitely improved over the first game, for sure. Now, if you're really good, you can have the enemy, fall off the edge, just like he did. So the enemy is always programmed to, like, follow the angle you're on. So you can actually manipulate enemies into falling in the pits like that guy just did right there. Which is nice. Alright. With the bosses, easy tactic to beat them is just line up with them. Enemies are always programmed to dash after you if you're a certain distance from them. So just keep spamming and you win. As long as you, again, unlike Final Fight, you can abuse the AI. So that's what I love about this game. If you're good enough, you can abuse it. But abuse it in a good way. Like where you can take the cheapness of the AI behavior and make it work to your favor. Player 1 Strength 25. After the battle in the Ravaged Village, we decided to start for the ancient ruins. Alright, so here's another good example of exploiting the AI. So as long as you stay in this corner, only one enemy at a time will be able to get in this little alcove. So you can just spam all day, then move to the other side, and they'll never be able to hit you. So it's just being able to exploit enemy AI. Same thing, go in the alcove. The enemies can't hurt you. Because the enemies are not programmed to hit you from both sides. It's always just one side. So you can use that to your advantage. Alright, this is where the skeletons come out. Now again, with this guy, he's a little tricky because he only hits the side he's not looking at. Attacking from below is always optimal to attacking from above. So that's fine. I can abuse this by staying here. As long as I'm on the lower plane, I'll always have the advantage. He can never hurt me. So again, it's just taking advantage of certain things where the enemy can't hurt you. It may take longer, but it's safer. And again, you can always abuse this where they jump, immediately knock them down, rinse and repeat. It'll take longer, but it's safe. So yeah, it's just little strategies you pick up on once you become competent enough in the game. Again, once I'm a certain, he'll always do the shoulder tackle against me. Walk a little bit away, go back, and then you can rinse and repeat, get them. Little strategies just here and there that you learn. You want to try to aggro a few enemies at a time, that way you're not overwhelmed. Alright, so what you want to do, see how this skeleton is always going to be there? So as long as I hug the wall, I won't have to deal with two at a time. Then I can bring him in, go up, go down a bit, go up a bit, go down a bit. He'll be too busy coming after me on the plane, and I can just abuse. So it's just little tactics you learn over time. These enemies, because they're red, they do take more damage. Notice that little spinning attack I did? Same thing with Final Fight. It's, you do jump and attack at the same time. It'll definitely come in handy. Alright. Boss time. So the thing with this boss is you want to not attack him on the same height. So you want to be on a higher plane. He will not be able to attack you. Alright, you know what? Magic, here we go. Just to deal some damage to these guys, because they're a little annoying. Alright, now that he's alone, you want to be on a higher plane. Never attack him from below, because that's when he will hit you with his sword. So you want to go on a higher plane. You'll be able to attack him every time. So just kind of, again, notice how he's automatically always follows the plane I'm on. He'll always try to get lower or higher. Don't dash him, because it doesn't work against him. There you go. Little strategies you pick up on that will help you get along your way. We found the enemy was using the ancient ruins as a base. We have destroyed it, and now we leave for the enemy's headquarters. Another case where you can exploit enemy by using these areas to just isolate one at a time. Notice how once an enemy comes in, only one at a time. For whatever reason, the game is programmed not to have two enemies on the same plane at the same time. It's just a weird quirk of programming, but it's a quirk that you can exploit. What do you think, Bones? Do you know about these tactics, or? I mean, I'd be happy if you're learning, because I'd love to, you know, have this be an outlet to teach as well. All right. Move on a higher plane. Get him to go on the wall, and he's stuck. Can't do anything. Now this stage is notable because this is what I was talking about before, where you can exploit enemies to fall down pits. There's one particular section in this stage where about 5 enemies will fall down a pit if I do it the right way. So hopefully it works. Slow way is the best. Alright, so what I'm going to do is you're going to see me hug the bottom of the screen. This will make it easier for, like this guy. And now, there we go. That's 1, 2. So I'm going to stay at the very edge of that pit. And now when I move to the right, the enemies are just going to fall right down. Here we go. 1. 2, 3. So the way the game is programmed is the enemy always sees you in, like, so you're here. The enemy will always find the quickest way to get to you is through diagonal. It's a diagonal line. So they don't care about pits. They will always, they don't even acknowledge that. As long as they get diagonally to you, that's the only way. They never go up or down straight. It's always diagonal. So you can just abuse that. Saying there should be another one. Oh, sometimes they'll do a dash to get out of it. So, you know, they'll be a little smarter. But it's alright. I can abuse him that way. I think there's one more. Oh, nope. Alright. But you know what? I can abuse him because I can fall down. Goodbye. Oh. Goodbye. That was good, right, Bones? I love that every time. Alright, so these bosses can be a bit annoying because it's for reptiles. And they have shields. But divide and conquer as best you can. Alright, my first death. Alright, it's not too bad. As long as you're on a higher plane, chances are you'll be fine. Thing is, these guys tend to charge you a lot. So you definitely want to be aware of that. Right, that's 2 down. Okay, once you single them out, it's not too bad. Yeah, thank you, Bones. So, I mean, I'm definitely better in Streets of Rage than I am Golden Axe, but Golden Axe is a game that I have played over the years quite often, so I do know what to do. It doesn't truly get hard until the last stage, I would say. To reach the enemy's castle, which is blocked by high mountains, we'll reluctantly decide to march through the cave called Dragon's Throat. So this is the level with the lava. Very Conan-esque right here. Very cool stage. Now again, I can abuse it, where he comes up. Immediately upon coming up, I knock him down. Now I can try to knock these enemies off the pit. So like him. Goodbye. There we go. Again, you can abuse when you can. Once enemies are a certain distance, again, they are programmed to always charge you. As long as you're in a higher plane, you'll always have the advantage. So always use that to your advantage when you can. So funny. Oh yeah, absolutely. Alright, want to lower him down. Make him come up my way. Now I definitely want to hang on to the lizard here. Now again here, same thing. Keep him in the corner. Chances are he can't hit me. As long as I keep him stunned in the corner, he can't break out of it. No matter how hard he tries. Enemy manipulation, that's a wonderful thing. Alright, he's done. He's going to shoulder tackle me. Because that's all he knows how to do. There he goes. Alright, the dragon should be coming up soon. Now I find the best thing to do is hit these guys. Have them keep coming to me. I did not mean to hit the magic button. That's my fault. Alright, dragon should be coming up soon. So I definitely want to keep the dragon. You just gotta time your breaths. So the dragon can be very useful. You want to be careful though. Those enemies again will charge you. As long as you time it, you're fine. You get one at a time. Isolate. As long as I keep one there in the corner, I'm fine. Now I can get him and just spam. Alright. So now with the boss, same thing in theory. As long as I don't aggro the big bosses in the corner, I'm fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, should be 5. Yep, alright. Oh, smokes, alright. Alright, well. The best thing to do is to shoulder tackle, Sometimes it works though, the timing. You gotta be good on the timing. And sometimes they'll break you out of it, so... I didn't mean to die, but it happens. Oh yeah, for sure, you definitely want to be good about it, but I made a mistake. It happens. I'm not perfect. As much as I would like to say in Golden Axe, but... further from the truth. So this should be the second to last stage, I believe. We have passed through the long, red-hot cave and found a castle gate standing in front of us. Now, if you played this on the easier difficulty, this would be the final stage of the game. If I remember correctly. Alright, same thing. Keep the enemies at bay. As long as you can isolate them, you're fine. Now yes, the game is incrementally harder if you don't take these, you know, things into practice. He's gonna come charge me. Because that's what he does. He's gonna run to the side. Again, isolate. There you go. You want to try to stay on different planes. If you all stay in the same plane, that will hurt you. And definitely the dragon is what you want to pick. Again, he'll fall down the pit, because he's dumb. I believe there's another enemy I could do that to. Yep, 1, 2. There should be a wizard now. Alright, same thing. He's gonna come charging. Breath him. He's gonna come charging, same thing. Again, the enemy's just programmed to do one thing. They don't know any better, so... take advantage of it. Should be seizing some skeletons now, I believe. Again, as long as you stay in a certain plane, you are fine. Alright. Again, that could have been a lot harder, but again, it's just understanding the placement of enemies and them being on planes. You just abuse that all day. It's fascinating, really, once you start getting into the inner workings of AI and how it's so limited in these games. It's funny, actually. Alright, same thing. He's stuck over there. So I'm gonna keep hitting this guy. 1, 2, should be 3 hits. Alright. Now there should be some skeletons. But just to be said, I would like to do this without, but just in case I mess up, I'm gonna save. And bring this back to full screen. Alright. I believe there's some skeletons coming up. Oh, they're golden. Alright. Same thing. Alright, 3. And then the fake boss will come out now. Now again, he can't run, so it's really just hide him in a corner. The other guy can't get me because he's stuck in the plane. So just take your time. There's no reason to rush it. You might as well play it safe. Doesn't matter if it takes forever, as long as you won't get hurt. The path of least resistance is always the best, I say. I don't remember how many hits it would take to get this guy down, but... Alright, that's one. So now I should be able to hit him. On waking up. There we go. Timing, just right when he gets up is when you hit him. Our enemy, Dark Gold, must be in this castle. Now take courage. The real battle has just started. Oh, I agree, Bones. I agree. I mean, that's the one thing that I wish Final Fight had. Unless I'm missing something, but the crowd control just isn't there. It isn't. You know, and which is why I love Streets of Rage, Golden Axe more. Because you can really, it's a science, breaking down how the enemy AI reacts to certain things. And from there you can manipulate it to your favor. Alright. Final stage, here we go. Oh, I was a dummy. Go for that one. Alright. As long as I isolate it, I'm fine. Just sometimes I don't trust myself with the dashes. This is an Xbox controller, so sometimes it doesn't always come out. As long as you have the dash and control, you're fine. Alright. Hey, Cassandra, thank you for stopping back. Fun has arrived. I'm actually at the last level of this game, so I beat one game before. So I figured it was a beat-em-up day. So I did Final Fight, completed that, and per request from Bones here in the chat, kind of waxed nostalgic about Golden Axe. I was like, you know what? Alright, let me do Golden Axe too. So I think we'll beat it a little bit after 6, so we should be fine. Alright, goodbye. Let me see if I can throw him. Goodbye. It's good at taking lives if you're not careful, yes. Alright, so this guy, I can eliminate him. Alright. Alright, good. Manipulation. That's what I always talk about. Makes things so much better. Alright. Same thing. You want to try to stay in the middle. Oh, I messed up. See? The D-pad on the Xbox is not the best. So doing those double taps doesn't always work. Ideally, though, you'd be charging. Headbutt. Alternate between. Doesn't always work, though. Most cases it does. There we go. I got hurt more than I would like, but it's fine. Want to hug the wall, because when enemies come out, it'll be easier to deal with them. Alright. I want to knock him into the pit. There we go. Hug the corner. Make him come to me. Go up. Have him come back. Rinse and repeat. Safest way is the best way for me. Now if you're fine, you can get him stuck in there. Hey Lori, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by on the Video Game Club here. You're actually in good time. This is actually the final stage of this game. So this is a game called Golden Axe 2. I think it came out in 1992. One of my old childhood games I used to play with my cousins way back when. So I'm just kind of going through how to manipulate enemy AI and try to make it work in your favor. It's pretty groovy. So we should be on track to beat this just a little bit after 6. Alright, it's getting a little out of control here. That's fine. I haven't used any continues yet. I believe I have 2, so I should be fine. Oh, no, I was born in 85, so this definitely came out. I was, I believe, 6 or 7 when this came out. But yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of playing this game. Used to play it in New York with my cousin way back when. Alright, so this is all about crowd control, crowd manipulation. Alright, so there should be the final boss coming up here. I'll have to fight more skeletons. So I want to inch my way. Always go to the corner, because you can only one enemy can attack you at a time. Isolate. It's just the programming of the game. The enemies can't attack you 2 to 1. As long as you allow it. And again, single file, please. Come to me. It's just little strategies I learned over the years playing it over and over again. Alright, now I can bring this guy here. Now he's going to be stuck. And keep hitting him. There we go. Oh, there goes my continue. That's fine. Now again, these guys with the armor, I can only hit them from above. I don't want to go on a lower plane than they are, because that will usually result in him hitting me. I'm going to use my magic. Alright, got rid of one of them at least. It's not too bad. Again, I can also try to isolate these guys. It's a little harder. Alright, 2 down. So the strategy here, I want to go on a higher plane, and I'll always have the advantage. As long as he's lower than me, I'm fine. Then I can just keep on hitting him. Single file. Always, always. So yeah, this is the trick. If you attack him head on, 95% of the time he will hit you with the big sword. Again, as I said, enemy is always programmed to diagonally come after you. They never walk in a straight line. So you can just, see, that was my fault. I was too far away. Get close to him, and you'll be fine. Alright. But the real boss is here. This is where it gets hard. He is hard. There's no doubt about it. I'm gonna die quite a bit. And not just that, he uses your own magic against you. Oh, I gotta... These are things I've been saying since I was little, Lori, so it's just childhood things that I've been carrying since I was a kid. Perfecting these types of games. And that's the problem, he keeps using magic against you. So it's very frustrating. The thing is, he tends to stay on the top plane, so it's hard. And he will constantly bring these little skeleton guys, so it's not even worth dealing with them for the most part. Just if they're in your way. Yeah, alright. So he's just a pain. He is... Again, if you try to drop kick him, he will do that swipe. So this is the one boss where it is tough. Like, it's no bones about it. Pun intended, bones. 'Cause you kind of want to save your magic for this fight, but... He will eventually go down, and I still have enough continues where it should be fine. I made it this far. I should hopefully survive. I have 2 credits, I'm fine. There we go. Game completed. Oh, it's not a problem, Lori. It's just, you know, when I get into the zone like that, I do need to concentrate for a bit. It's just so much more fun than I imagined. I'm cheering out loud. How distract... Skeletons always end up killing a couple lives every time I play. Puny. Getting nervous? No. I had enough lives. So this is a fun... this always made me sad as a kid, this song. In Bones, or Cassandra, you may realize that this song sounds a lot like Streets of Rage. I always felt it did, at least. Thank you, thank you. I've had, you know, 28-ish years of practice of playing this, so... Yeah, I always felt this song was rather somber in its tone. But it does sound like Streets of Rage 1, right? So we have vanquished the evil from the village. The village is back. All their citizens are rejoicing around the three heroes. The green one that I played, the green dwarf, his name is Julius Thunderhead. The man in the middle who looks like Conan the Barbarian, his name is Axe Battler. And the woman to his left is Tyrus Blaze. Or Tyrus Flare. Tyrus Flare. So he's Conan, she's Red Sonja, and I guess my guy's Gimli from Lord of the Rings, I suppose. Alright, Lori, thank you so much. Yeah, it's actually just in time. We're wrapping up here. So what a great way to wrap up by completing Golden Axe 2. You know, the perfectionist that I am, I wish I could complete it losing less lives, but so is life. Sometimes you just gotta practice some more until you perfect it. Oh, Bones, for sure. That's Conan and Red Sonja, without a doubt. There's no doubt about that. So I'm actually curious what the game gives you a ranking at the end of the game, a letter grade. And I always, as a kid, would always get D's. I think D's or even F's. As I've gotten better over the years, I think the most I still get is like a B or a C. So I'm curious what this would give me, because I wasted 2 continues on that final boss. So we shall see. I got an SA! Oh my god, wow. That's the highest honor. 105.6. As a kid, I would get C's or D's. So, round of applause for getting an SA. Look at, alright, cool. That's a good way to cap off, right? Alright, so that is Golden Axe 2. Thank you, Bones, for the recommendation. I actually didn't know what my next game would be after Final Fight, so I think keeping it in the beat 'em up line was good. It was a good idea. No. Yeah, I mean, I would always B's. Yeah, I would. Oh man, as a kid, I always would get C or D. But I think that was mostly because we'd play 2-player, and we would just more often than not end up killing each other by accident. You know, friendly fire and all that. Wow. Yeah, wow. I beat 2 games. Pretty good, I'd say. So, yeah, wow. We were actually finishing right on time today at 6 o'clock. So, yeah, that is, this is the NPL Video Game Club. We do this, and let me pop up the flyer here. Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. right here on the Norwalk Public Library YouTube channel. This is a weekly gaming stream. We're about, I believe this is what, episode 6? So we are 6 weeks in, and this is still relatively fresh. I'm open to any and all ideas. Just right now, currently, everything is limited to PC only. I don't have a means to capture anything console. So, but again, the PC has a lot of stuff. You know, there's a lot, as you can see here, a lot of retro, obviously a lot of the new stuff. So, I'm open to any and all ideas. The comments section will be left open once this is offline. So if you have any suggestions for games, I'm actually, for next week, which will be, I believe, let's see, what day does this fall on? It'll be next Friday, the 18th. So, actually, 2 things are coming up. I should have put up the flyer, but my mistake. So next Saturday, we're actually doing our 3rd Extra Life charity stream. So that'll be really cool. That'll be next Saturday, the 19th, from 4 to 8 p.m. on this same YouTube channel. And we'll start doing the promotions for it this coming week or over the weekend. But we will be doing the Video Game Club as well next Friday. So if you have any suggestions for games, I'm actually thinking, I want to look to see if there's any holiday-related games. See if there's something along those lines that I could find. I may have something. I have no idea. I have so many games. It's hard to keep track of what you got. But yeah, we do this every Friday, so if you like what you saw, please hit that like button on YouTube to let us know that we're doing a good job. And also subscribe to the Norwalk Public Library. If you click that bell icon, it'll notify you every time a new video is uploaded. Again, it's not just books here at the library. As you can see, we do video games here as well. So there are programs that happen on Zoom that we do usually every week, and those get archived here on the YouTube channel. So keep your eyes peeled. We would very much appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button to keep appraised of everything and all the programs here going on at the library. We really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone who was in the chat today. Let me give you all a shout out. Bones, thank you for stopping by. Cass, thank you so much for stopping by. Lori, thank you much for stopping by. And thank you, Lori, for giving me the okay to get this program going. So without you and everyone else at the library, this wouldn't be a thing. So thank you. I really do appreciate it. Let me see, who else am I missing here? Paul Simon, thank you so much for stopping by. Star Wars Nerd, thank you so much for stopping by. As always, appreciate it. So yeah, I appreciate all of your time. Have a wonderful weekend. I think we have some snow coming up for the next week, so you definitely want to stay safe. And you see my hair flying right there because I have a fan blowing right next to me. So don't think it's the screen acting crazy. But anyways, you all take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. And hopefully I'll see you next week for the next installment of the NPL Video Game Club. If you have any suggestions, again, just leave them in the comments below. And on a personal note, I would greatly appreciate it if any of you take the time out of your day to maybe share this stream on any social media platforms you may have, as we definitely want to try to get the word out there. The good, what we do here in the NPL Video Game Club is that we do try to keep everything, family friendly. No games that are beyond rated T here. And again, that doesn't limit the fun. Video games are always fun no matter what they are. And we really do appreciate your time and effort and helping spread the word on a local program here in Connecticut. So thank you so much. On behalf of the Norwalk Public Library, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to comment and share and talk about it. Really appreciate it. And we will see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy. Again, this is Aldo signing off. Be kind to one another and take care. Bye-bye.